But the crazy thing was that even in Shawn's heyday, you weren't doing headlining hard ticket shows.
Oh, you never did hard ticket shows in that? What is it about that? That era doesn't do hard ticket.
I had stepped away from all of this. You know, I wanted nothing to do with the music business. I was totally fine and okay being on my couch, doing nothing, just being a dad, running a dance competition, and not being in the entertainment music business. Like I was done. And then, you know, I talk about it a lot, but I really owe a lot to this moment. You know, the OVO thing happens with Drake, and he literally pulls me aside after the show. I wish I had this on, you know, it's one of those moments where I'm like, I wish somebody caught it on video because they're not going to believe me when I tell the story. But literally, I come off stage and he grabs me, comes through the door and grabs me and pulls me aside. And he's like, come here, dude, I need to talk to you. And I'm like, what? And he's like, bro, you're different, eh? He's like, you are different. He's like, those people, they fucking love you. Why? Like, what's happened? Like, what are you doing? And I was straight up, I'm like, yo, dude, like, I just lost the love and the passion. Like the business part of it, what the things that happened to me in 2015, 2014 sucked the love and like the life out of me. Everything I loved about music. And he's like, yeah, I get that. He's like, you know, we're all going to go through that at some point. I'm going to go through that. But he's like, trust me when I tell you, those people need you. You need to make music again, bro.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, holy shit, I have one of the biggest artists in the world, probably the biggest artist in the world. Telling me that I need to make music. And it's funny because when I got to the show and I saw him, I went up to him and I said, thank you for inviting me to this. And he's like, Shawn Desman, thank me. Thank you. I was listening to you when I was growing up.
Amazing.
Right? So I'm like, that's so crazy. And so when I made the decision to come back into this, and this was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life. I'd worked with two previous managers. One from about 2002 to 2010, who disappeared off the face of the earth. I haven't seen him since 2010. I was on tour with the Backstreet Boys. Him and my tour manager had like this little scuffle because my tour manager had an emergency at home and had to leave and was like, hey, I need to go. I need to deal with this. You know, I got some other person. My manager didn't like that. Ended up like throwing like a vodka bottle at him.
Jesus.
Like literally because he was talking to me about it. And my security picked him up, took him out of the dressing room. And that was the last time I ever saw him.
Your manager?
Yeah.
At the time?
That was the last time I ever saw him.
Was that Debo?
It was Debo. It was Debo and Paul, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, you know, I start working with this other manager who was working with my manager at the time, but wanted nothing to do with that person. And I worked with her for a long time. And then when this whole thing happened again, I really had to think and make a decision, which was, do I want to keep doing the same thing I was doing 10 years ago, or do I want to elevate? And can this person take me to the next level?
Yeah.
And I remember sitting down with my wife and talking to her about it. And my wife was like, Shawn, I'm going to tell you something. I know how you are, and you care about people. You don't want to hurt people. You don't want to hurt people's feelings. But she's like, Shawn, I am telling you right now, in this moment, you need to be selfish. You need to be selfish and think about what is best for you, not about people's feelings, not about what's best for them, what is best for you. And in my heart, I knew deep down that I needed to make a move. Because as much as I love this person, I knew this person could not take me to the next level of where I wanted to be. And so, you know, I had one of the hardest conversations of my life with that person because she was like a sister to me.
Yeah, she's great people.
Right?
Yeah.
And, you know, and I just said, like, I you know, I love you, but I don't think you're going to be able to do what I want to do. I'm getting off my couch for this. I'm stepping back into something that I walked away from. Like, this is a big commitment because, like, you know, if you commit to doing this, you got to be all in.
All in.
All in.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a little break. Because if you're listening and thinking, fuck, I could really use some guidance right now, and you're serious about building your career in the music industry, I'm now offering private strategy sessions. These are fully personalized, just you and me tackling whatever you need in your career. With over 16 years of experience working with artists, managers, and brands, I can help you map out your next moves. Now, whether that's structuring your team, scaling your brand, navigating the industry, even figuring out what steps to take, whether to go to a distributor or to a record label and figuring out what are the best deal points, I can help you with your career with where you're at. You can now book a one-on-one with me through my Calendly, and you can find the link in the description. Now let's get back to the pod.
So, you know, did that, and then I was kind of like in this limbo where like, all right, now I don't have management and now I need to start talking to people.
What year was that? What year was that?
That
when this
was
is happening?
2022.
So
Oh,
this
sorry,
is-
2023.
This is after the OVO.
After
North
OVO,
All-Stars?
after like my first single comes out, like after Maniac, after the, the comeback Rivoli show, after all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I didn't feel like we were going anywhere.
Okay.
I'm like, what are we doing here? Right. So yeah, I'm in limbo and I'm, talking to different managers and nothing's really clicking. I'm not really hearing anything. And then Jamie at my label was like, hey, I know this guy named Steve, really cool dude. I'm going to put you in touch and let's just sit down with him and see. Right. And so he puts us in a text thread and Steve will tell the story too. Right away, I'm just inappropriate. Like when I don't care who you are, it's just me. You need to this is just me. Take me as I am. You take and so, he messaged something and I'm like, yeah, this guy better have a big dick or something. Like I said something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
And Steve, he tells the story. He's like, this is weird. I don't know if I want to work with this guy.
Yeah.
In the thread, this is the first message that
that's
happened.
true. I think you might have been it. But either way, I was like, ask my fiance, who's 34 at the time, or maybe 33 at the time. I was like, do you know about this Shawn Desman guy? She's like, wait, what? I was like 12. She's like 12, 13 years old watching this dude in the Much Music Countdown or whatever it is. And I was like, okay, well, he's pretty rude. But we can meet for lunch for sure. No, I'm just teasing. We're exaggerating the story, obviously.
So we sat down and Chad was also in the meeting. And Chad, I have to say something about Chad. Chad, who at the time worked for the label, was instrumental in them signing me.
Right.
Chad basically said, if you guys don't sign Shawn, you guys are fucking idiots.
Why'd you go out on a ledge and do that?
Well, basically because I also grew up watching Shawn on Much Music, and I just kind of knew that
he saw the path where nobody else could see a path, I think.
Yeah, like
Right?
I mean, Shawn's of the last era of like household names, like with Much music and with radio, like back when we were kind of more in a monoculture where information came from one source.
Yeah,
it was a lot easier to kind of build an artist and a legacy.
Absolutely.
It doesn't exist that much today. So I saw that Shawn had that. And we could, I thought there was a pretty big touring business there that could be tapped into.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. And then.
Yeah. So we met, sat down, and right away I was like, oh, I kind of like this guy. I like that. I'd already been working with Chad. And Chad, there was no talk, like, I don't think in his mind he was ever like, I'm going to be a manager. Maybe, like, I don't know. Right. And so we meet, we sit down, we talk, we leave that. And then I don't know, Chad, how did it come to be? Like, did you go to Jamie and Ron and be like, hey, I want to try to manage, or like, I can't exactly remember
Jamie
what happened.
brought in Steve at first, and then Steve just called me, like,
That's what it was, yes.
Sidebarred me, and he was like, man, I don't want to do this.
Because you guys already knew each other.
Yeah. Chad and I guess we're about 15 years into our relationship. We met both musicians.
Yeah.
So we met on a gig about 15 years ago, and we loosely stayed in touch over the last 15 years, and I was working with another artist that was on the label that Chad was doing marketing for. So we got a chance to work together, and we kind of reconnected. And as I went through that process with him, I realized, in no uncertain terms, how much of a creative thinker he was and is, and that his experience was like very different than mine. And I thought it would really apply well to being a music manager. And I said, for a couple of years, maybe I was like, we got to do something together, bro. And he's like, I don't know.
That sounds like about right. That sounds like Chad.
So, he was like, I don't know.
That was, by the way, the exact reaction he had when I said, wait, we should do the pod all together. You guys are like, let's do it. And he's just there like,
I don't know.
I don't know about that right now. I'm like, we're not doing this without you.
I like digging into the numbers and analyzing just data and figuring out a path through that, but I don't really love being in front of a camera or on a microphone.
Well, we got to have you in front of the camera because you have such a skill set that's very unique to his, and they complement each other and absolutely benefit Shawn. But I'd love to go take just a step back to that meeting.
Yeah.
What was it for the three of you to come to did you all realize in that moment, like, no, there's something here and it's special? Because
I did. Right away, I'm a good like judge of character, judge of people. And as soon as I met Steve, coming in with his long hair. He had a long beard and like super long hair. Right?
Okay.
This guy looked like a rock star.
Whole other story. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I kind of like this guy. And like, we're joking around and the vibe is good. And left there. And I think I thought to myself, and I told Jamie, I think I want to give this a shot. Like maybe we do it, on a 3-month test run and let's see how it goes. And, here we are. I think, the best thing about these guys is their strengths because they're so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's worked so well. And like,
totally.
You also got to remember, like, I hadn't, the first thing was like, okay, so what are we going to do? What is Shawn not best at, but what is one of Shawn's strengths? Live, performing live. How do we do that? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Chad goes in, does his data thing. Is like, okay, here's where the listeners are. We're going to do this. We're going to do 4 shows in these markets. Let's see. We had no idea. And we're making 0 money. We're basically putting up all the money for these shows. And not knowing, are we going to sell? Like, are people going to actually buy tickets to these shows, right?
I think if we could just back it up, like, you'd been working with Shawn, you'd seen him perform live.
That's right.
Me, I hadn't seen, the live, the bedrock of working with an artist is the artist needs to be a great artist. The artist, in my opinion, needs to be able to perform well. And
all right, we're going to take a little break because being an independent artist takes a lot, and Venice makes sure you don't have to figure it out alone. The Venice team listens to your music, provides direct feedback, builds your release plan, and connects you with opportunities that move your career forward. Venice is the only distributor that opens real doors. They've brought their members to YouTube offices, introduced them to top artist managers, and had Kendrick Lamar's engineer mix their record. Their focus is always on giving artists real access, real support, and a team invested in their next step. If you are ready for your next release, Venice is where you build with a team that understands what it takes. Now let's get back to the pod.
We want to work with people that are super talented and creative and great performers. And, before, obviously, I could
fully invest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. I wanted to see you play live. So I guess that was the Elmo show during
Canadian Music Week.
Canadian Music Week, yeah. And I was really like, I was so blown away by how great a singer and professional performer you are, and the band, wonderful band, bunch of gospel players, like really, really great band. So it exceeded my expectation. And then I think, like, just to back up a little bit more, at that first lunch, we sidebarred, and I think the question really was, and you kind of alluded to it, was like, are there fans? Like, are there people that want to hear what you're doing now in terms of new music, and will they come and support you in a venue?
What a real question.
And
that's
like
a real question.
Yeah, right. So we had to. There's the whole strategy in and around trying to figure that out, which is an interesting. I mean, you could elaborate on it a lot, but we spent a lot of time trying to figure out, like, what size rooms. How do we figure out what size rooms to play in? When do we do the shows? Who was interested in helping us present the shows? There's a lot of questions that we needed to have answered. So we kind of went about it in a pretty systematic way.
And even like, if I could back that up, when you're saying that, are there fans here? Like, for those who don't know, Shawn Desman, you came out in 2002, 2003, monster album, monster records, and this is 20 years ago, right? And so, but like a superstar for sure in Canada. You're everywhere on Much Music. It was like, I was constantly reminded of who you were because, like, in my high school, my boy back then, Rob Chalupica, he was already super athletic. He already got all the girls. Now everybody's like, and he wore baby blue velour fucking tracks. And all the girls are now saying that, like, oh, you look like Shawn Desman. I got to compete with this shit now. This guy looks like a superstar now in our fucking school. Yeah. So, but I was like, you were everywhere. And this is for years. You know what I mean? So, like, you had a fan base. Yeah. Now it's trying to figure out, and then you go and you have those years where you're quiet. You step away from the business in 2015. So that's like a 8-year drought. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the crazy thing was that even in Shawn's heyday, you weren't doing headlining hard ticket shows.
You never did hard ticket shows in that? What is it about that? That era doesn't do hard ticket.
But not even just that. I feel like it's funny because I ask my agent the same, because I've been with the same agent since the beginning.
Oh, wow.
Still. Even though he's moved, Jason Furman.
Okay.
I was like, Jason, in my heyday, in 2010, 2011, biggest records of my career, Shiver, Electric, Night Like This, already had Let's Go, already had Red Hair, already had Spread My Wings, already had Get Ready, already had Shook.
Yes.
Why am I not doing what I am doing? Why did I not do what I am doing today in those years?
Yeah.
Shouldn't this kind of been reversed? Like, I was massive. I was probably one of the biggest, if not, the biggest domestic artists in the country.
For sure.
How am I not doing these hard ticket things? And like, how are we not selling out 5,000 seats? And there's not really an answer. But it all comes down to, again, I'm going to say it, management, strategy, and ideas. And I just think there was lack of all those things.